Hey guys, what is going on? This is Rachel with the Millennial Wayve, and we are on episode 15 with our guest in the house tonight, Amanda Burnitt. She is a coach. Woo! She is a coach, an entrepreneur / business owner. She is a mom. She's a dancer, and plot twist, she's an industrial engineer. How freaking crazy is that? I can't wait to get into that conversation. But first and foremost, Amanda, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to do this.
I know, I'm excited too. And I love meeting new people in Sacramento because I've noticed, as I first started, when you're growing a podcast, you always have to kind of start with who's in your current circle of influence rather than like completely brand new people.
Right.
So I started with that and I was like, how am I going to continue to grow this with new people, brand new people that maybe I've never met or I'm just kind of starting to meet. And I'm really glad that you reached out, but I'm also really happy that you're someone that has a message to share. Because sometimes people just want to be on a podcast Like, oh, I want to be on a podcast. Like, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
But I feel like even before in our conversation, before we started this, I'm like, okay, she has a lot of value and I can't wait because I know no matter who I talk to, doesn't matter what it's about, I always find a way to give value and I can only hope that the audience does the same. So I'm really excited.
I'm super excited to talk to all of the millennials and non-millennials. I assume that some non-millennials also listen. But as a millennial myself, I'm excited to share a lot of what I've gone through, my trials and tribulations, and like I have so much wisdom and so much that I want to tell like people that are younger than me. I have two little sisters. They're little. They're 25 and 22. They're not little. But like I'm always like trying to explain to them all these really important things, like you need to ask for more money. No, it's okay if they say no.
Yeah.
But you have to ask.
Yeah.
If you don't ask, you don't get it.
The worst thing that they can say is no.
No.
Right? Or
no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the worst thing that they can say.
Boom. Yeah. I like that. Okay, so first question for you. Which came first? Industrial engineer or entrepreneur?
Industrial engineer. So I have a really interesting background. I grew up in like a double wide. I come from parents that did not go to college. I have 5 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
Yeah, and
wow.
When I was growing up, I just wanted something different than what I had. I didn't want to live the life that my parents had. I didn't want that for myself. And so I really just wanted to get out. And I think that that's a lot of entrepreneurship, is that you just want something more than what you can see around you. So I didn't see anybody with a college education around me. Of course, there were like people on the fringes, but for the most part, like my mom was a secretary, my stepdad was a plumber, my dad was a roofer, so I really wanted more. And school is something that I found easy, and math was something I found really easy, and which drove me to engineering, and that's kind of how I ended up there. So that's kind of where I threw into the engineer. But once I became an engineer, and I was a senior engineer by the time I was 35, I was like, what's next?
Wow. Okay, wait. So you like killed it. Like you...
High achiever. They're called high achievers. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs have this similar trait, which is we're all super, super high achievers, right? We have these crazy goals and these crazy ideas, and we work really freaking hard to make them happen. And then we get to the point where I'm at now, which is why I became an entrepreneur, because I was like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
I can't be a senior engineer at 35 and just be done.
Yeah.
I'm 35. Well, I'm almost 37. But at the time, I was like, I'm 35. I have everything I've ever wanted. And
wow. Okay, everything you've ever wanted materialistic-wise? Or
I own my own house. Okay. I have a husband. I have 2 kids. I have a full-time job that I actually really love. And, that can't be the end.
Yeah. Are you still an engineer?
I am still an engineer.
Okay, so that's what you do like for full-time work.
That's my full-time. I love it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
So you knew that you were good at math, and then when you became an engineer, you actually loved what you did.
Yeah, I mean, not at first.
Okay, no.
Because you gotta struggle, right?
Mm-hmm. even when you're like getting out of college, like I should have a job right off the bat.
Right.
Like, I earned my degree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you get a job, you feel like, okay, this is where I'm meant to be.
Right.
But it wasn't like that for you.
Yes and no. No, it wasn't like that for me. I was going to do a bunch of other stuff, and I had all these big lofty plans. I was going to go to law school. I took my LSATs, and then I was like, oh, no, I hate that.
Okay, that makes
Which
sense.
is also, like, one thing I highly recommend is, like, if you do something and you hate it, that means you shouldn't continue to do it.
Yeah.
You should be done.
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, so I like that you just said that because a lot of people say, I actually had someone on the podcast before that said, you need to fall in love with the process, which means, like, you may hate going to school for this. You may hate the type of training that you have to do, but the end result will be worth it. So I think that you could have gotten the same result as a big-time lawyer as you could have gotten as a senior engineer, right?
Yeah.
So when did you know, though? Because I like that you also said you almost became a lawyer or you were considering it because people, like, you didn't just know I'm meant to be an engineer. Like, you didn't just know that, did you? Right? You had to kind of test and, because I was going to say, oh, so you just knew you wanted to be an engineer? I was actually going to say that, but clearly you didn't.
No, I just knew that I was really good at math and I suck at English.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of the opposite. I like math that I can understand. My favorite math class was statistics. So
yeah,
it was
statistics.
great,
I love statistics. Yeah, I took so much math in high school that by the time I got to college, I had to take one math class.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I
That's
like
crazy.
I'm really good at math, and
Yeah.
so that's kind of what pushed me into engineering because there's like you could be a mathematician and then teach math, or you can be an engineer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got pushed into engineering a little bit more. But I found out I loved it, right?
Yeah.
And I love engineering, and I love what I do now. And I didn't love it coming out of college, but I think that was because I didn't really know what I wanted. I was just kind of like waiting for somebody to tell me, and I feel like that's a lot of what people kind of end up with. Is they're kind of like, well, I don't know what I want, and so I'm just going to do this thing because I can.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so then you were doing engineering. When did you get out of college? When did you start? How long were you in engineering before you kind of had your
I
little...
graduated college in 2004,
Okay.
so it's been a minute.
In a minute. A little over 10 years.
Yeah, over 10 years.
So, wow, over 10 years in the same profession.
Yep.
Correct? And you had reached the highest level possible in engineering, correct?
I am an expert in my field, yeah.
Okay. So what was that kind of transition like? Why entrepreneurship? Why not, something along the same professions, maybe just a different slot, if that makes sense, or a different well, right? You're tapping you're tapping into the same well, right?
Yes.
But in a different way. So why entrepreneurship? Why business?
Mainly because I see once you get to the top of something, you have a couple options. You can go into sales, you can go into management, or you can go into business. Those are your three options once you reach the top of any kind of field, right? You become an expert at something. So you can either sell that thing, you can manage that thing, or you can create something new. And what I wanted to do was create something new. I saw basically a spot in the marketplace. I got really into personal development after I kind of reached all my goals and was like, oh, now what do I do? I got really into personal development. I started reading books. I started listening to podcasts about personal development, like Gary Vaynerchuk, and because the personal development space is the business entrepreneur space, especially for men. I think for women, we have a little bit of a different space. We have like the Rachel Hollises of the world.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
But
I actually just learned about Rachel Hollis, so.
Yeah.
Just learned, yeah.
Yeah. I love Rachel Hollis.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. I
Awesome.
know her. So.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been following her for a long time, and that's
Jeez,
kind of
that's
how
crazy.
I got involved in the personal development. As she started doing personal development, I was like, oh, hey, what's this stuff? And so I started doing personal development, and I kind of, and not that I don't think she's awesome. I think she's awesome, but I think she's just one tiny piece in a field that we are starting to develop now. And I see other people doing it. I see Girl Talk Network. I see so many other female entrepreneurs
Marie
in
Forleo.
this field.
She is my girl.
Renee Brown.
That's who I was first,
Yeah,
okay.
so there's a lot of other women just now coming into the field who have other careers like me as an engineer and really have something to say because of our past experiences.
Yeah. Wow. So you started listening to personal development, and what was kind of like the aha moment?
When I was trying to figure out what's next without changing and appreciating what I had. So a lot of personal development talks about gratitude, right? Be thankful for what you have. And I totally agree. Like, really appreciate what you are given and appreciate each day. But at the same time, when you want something more, it's okay to say that. And I feel like there's not a lot of spaces that say that, and other than the entrepreneurial space. But for me, it's not about making money. I mean, I know that that's important to some people. For me, that's never been my goal. Otherwise, I would be a lawyer. But for me, it's more about being fulfilled and being able to make a change and an impact. And I feel like that's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
At its core.
Yes. And what kind of, I'm curious, so what kind of realm of entrepreneurship did you choose to stay in the engineering space?
No, I thought about that, and I actually dove really hard into that, got really into the engineering space, and was on panels and stuff for conferences, and I was like, this is not, there's only so much I can do in this realm, when I feel like what I have to say is more universal than just engineering.
Yeah.
So I got really into the female engineering side of it, because as a female engineer, the only way we have more female engineers is if people see us.
Mm-hmm.
And see that, oh, hey, I could be an engineer. Look at her, she's an engineer, and she doesn't look like what I think an engineer looks like. And so that creates more engineers. And so I started to get really heavy into that, and I found out that that's not, I have so much more to share than just female engineering.
It's bigger than just one industry, just one profession, right? It's global, depending on your vision, right?
Exactly.
So, so when you decided, I can do more than just engineering, I can reach a lot more people than just the ones that want to go into this space or are part of this profession, what different industries did you contemplate with, or what realm did you decide to pursue that you knew was going to be the one for you to make the biggest impact?
Right. For me, interpersonal relationships.
Okay.
Getting in front of people is so important, and I feel like for a lot of reasons. My main reason is people are staring at their phones and are so socially disconnected from other people now that we need a way to bring us back together in community. And I feel like with the women, especially, we have all these MMLs. So multi-level marketing schemes. So they're the people that sell to you in your homes, right? You have a Stella and Dot party, and you invite all your friends over, and they come buy the jewelry from you, right? And what the problem with that is that it's creating an environment where we have to go to see our friends and buy something. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Like, I want us to have very important conversations in a space that feels comfortable and connected to women of all shapes and sizes, where we don't have to buy anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what started me, is that I wanted to create something that people could go to and really spend time doing something that almost nobody does these days, which is thinking about what they want.
Yeah. Okay, so what exactly would you be doing in these, or have you, I mean, obviously I'm assuming you've been doing it for a couple years.
Yep, I've been doing it for a while.
Okay.
So we have workshops. They're small, intimate workshops, normally about 25 people. They're in homes.
Okay.
And I basically stole this idea from somebody else.
Love it, right? All about, no, but that's what it is. You'd be the best copycat.
I mean, if you don't already know, Steal Like an Artist is one of the best books. I have read
that book, yep.
Yeah, one of the best books. And it's basically like, nobody has a monopoly on the idea. So it's a similar idea, a completely different what we talk about than what this woman talks about. And she doesn't do it anymore. So she was on a tour, and she went all around the country, and she had 50 women at a time in these homes, and she did it all over the country. So I know that there's a need and a want for this already. So we're creating these workshops where it's in a person's home, and I create a little workbook, and we have really healthy food. So we do like paleo options, vegan options, things like that, and we feed you, and you come and you spend time together in community. There's lots of tears. And it's really just talking about the problems that we all face as women and how we can fix them as women.
Yeah. Okay. So that's when, I'm curious. Why that? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So why do you feel like you can make the biggest impact with that?
Right. So a couple of reasons. The main reason is the best thing I can be as a mother is happy. The best thing I can give to my children is a happy mother. And if I'm happy, then my husband is happy, my kids are happy, right? Like, if I'm mad, that radiates out. But if I'm happy, it radiates out too. And it radiates out to my family, to my community, to my neighbors, to my friends, right? They see me doing better and being happy, they do better and they're happier because their interactions with me are happy, right? You know, you are affected by the people that you surround yourself with.
Yes.
So the more impact that I can make on the people that I'm surrounding myself with, and they surround themselves with, and they surround, you know, it's the whole telephone thing, right? Like you call 2 people, and those 2 people call 2 people, and those 2 people call 2 people, and it's just expands.
Yeah. Okay. And I know that there's probably a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this, or people that are involved in business. They probably have one question in their mind right now. You know what the question is?
No.
Okay. The question is, how do you make money?
How do you make money?
How do you make money from it? That's what every entrepreneur is probably thinking. How do you make money? But no, really, they probably are wondering, like, okay, well, if I want to do something like this, because I'm sure there's other people. You already said there's a need for this. There's people that want to talk about it. There's people that want community, that want to be surrounded by the right people that'll help elevate them. That's one of the other reasons why a lot of people, especially the ones that are maybe sitting at home right now thinking, like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know who to go to. These are the type of things that they could be looking for.
Exactly.
But for someone like yourself that has created it, not an attendee, but someone that created it, how do you make money from it? How do you build that into a global business?
Right.
Or however big you want it to be?
I think the easiest answer to that is Tony Robbins.
Okay.
I think Tony Robbins